All right, we good? All right, let's get started. Wisdom, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today and participating. As usual, we have a lively discussion full of great informative stuff. I will start out with the operations update. To start with, for M&O, we have an update coming later on today in the presentation, so I'm not going to spend any time on that. I'll share with you that for CNS, the main challenges right now as we approach the opening of school is around staffing. So they're heavy in the hiring mode. They're planning a job fair in September. And they're also currently in the middle of doing training for all staff members this summer. That's been going on the last couple of weeks to get everybody up to speed and ready to go in a couple of weeks. CNS staff is going to meet with finance this week. You all may remember Tiffany mentioned briefly the opportunity maybe to put in some credit card processing. So we're looking at that as a pilot program at 5 high schools only for right now. She's meeting with finance this week. I think technology has blessed the concept, so we hope we'll see some progress on that in the near future.
Is that, if we're going to go down payment methods like that, are there other payment methods that maybe, I don't know, if like PayPal and stuff like that require a service charge?
Potentially so. I think they're looking at everything right now.
Okay.
They started out with the credit cards, but that's a great idea to look at PayPal.
I mean, all of them as far as I'm concerned, Apple Pay, et cetera.
We have some menu changes coming in September. Please keep in mind that in the CNS world, we bid the products that we want to use for next year based off of our current or last year's usage. So that kind of dictates what we buy and helps the manufacturers know what to produce. There is some flexibility within that framework, and CNS will be pursuing some of that. Hopefully you'll see some new menu items in September.
Are we, I'm just going to jump in, and if anyone has any questions. Are we getting any indication of price increases when it comes to this?
No, we had our bid back in March or so, okay. So we know where we are for this upcoming school year.
Got it. All right, great.
Transportation, a full update will be coming at the board work session next week. I have the presentation. I'm not going to share it with you right now, but it is good. I will give you a tidbit that I think is very positive for us this year. For the first time in many years, we have a sub in each of our 23 districts, meaning we have a sub that is not assigned to a bus specifically. In the past, our subs have all been assigned to regular routes. As we stand right now, we have a sub in each of the 23 districts, and that's really phenomenal. That is really due to the great, superb effort by many departments on getting our hiring in a better place. I credit Lisa Luton a lot, and Sarah Clark, and many others. AJ, we all participate in meetings every couple of weeks, and you'll see next week where we have seen the fruits of our labor pay off some. We're still not where we need to be or want to be, but we think we're in pretty good shape, and Bob will be sharing that next week. I also mentioned we currently have 10 propane buses in the fleet now, with 5 more on the way. I think the other 5 are expected to come this fall. That's pretty exciting. Propane buses are generally considered to be more energy efficient, and it's cleaner type bus without the particulates that are put out by diesel. So I think that's exciting. And then lastly, for FD&C, Felton Grove is the last of the 4 schools that we have opening this summer to receive a temporary certificate of occupancy. Now, there's some strings attached to that to go along with that. There are still some items left to be completed at that site. I'll note that in the last couple of weeks, staff has been out there a lot. They've met with inspectors a lot and with the contractor a lot to work through some sometimes challenging and unique things that have gone on at this site. As it stands right now, we have the TCO, the Temporary Certificate of Occupancy, and we are allowed to go in the building and do the things that we need to do from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. After that time, again, this is agreement with the inspections department, no one is allowed to be in the building except for people that are doing work, the contractors. There's several things that have to be done, and this means no one, no administration, no custodians, no teachers, nobody. And so all of the work that needs to be done at the school will be done in the evening hours. So those are the few items I have for an operational update. Did you have something, Dave?
Yeah, just one item. That's one thing we discussed a couple weeks ago, and that was we looked through some of the general statutes for the board, and as far as awarding contracts for going through the design reviews, and as we've got on the agenda today, we have a schematic design review, and we'll go to the board for approval. And what we were looking at and making sure of was, as far as our consistency with general statute and policy. We actually go beyond that, and there's the required general statute requirement and Board of Education policy for approving the contract. And of course you do that. We also ask you to approve the schematic design. We also ask you to approve the construction documents. We ask you to allow us to advertise. We ask you to allow us to receive bids. And those aren't actual requirements. They aren't policy requirements. They're not general statute requirements. And we haven't been consistent in doing that as we look past. So there's some projects where that's been done, there's some projects that haven't been done. And what we wanted to do is we want to pull back and specifically provide the schematic design reviews and approvals that we're doing today. And that's really helps you get a good feel for the project. It's also something that the public can look at and see, and it helps everybody understand what the project's going to be. And I tell you, in my history, I've never asked a board to permission to advertise or permission to or to approve the construction documents and things like that. So we don't plan to do that in the future. So that's one less item that would be coming to the board. But I really don't see any difference. You'll still be seeing the contracts when they're bid that will still be coming to the board for approval. So in our discussion from 2 weeks ago, we wanted to kind of put that out there and just let people be aware.
This is about making
the
the facilities team and the process more efficient.
I'm sorry?
And this is about making everything more efficient, so we're not,
That's right.
so there are no delays caused by the board not having approved you to advertise, for instance. Is that correct?
That's right. Certainly, if we felt that we needed to have that approval and we couldn't get on the agenda or something like that, we may delay the bid, and that could delay the process. And there really wasn't a good reason for it. It's not required by policy or general statute, or it's really not even common for school districts in North Carolina.
Does anyone have any questions about that? Ms. Evans?
Is Felton Grove on track?
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of work to be done.
Because I'm like, whew.
Well, we feel that as well.
I bet.
You should have been around last week. A lot of work has been done, but as the project manager mentioned and our senior director of construction, the path forward has been identified in working with the contractor and with the inspection department, so we know what's in front of us and what has to be done. Furniture's in the building. It's a little dirty right now, but they're working on that as well.
Is there a time frame for how long we're going to be under this temporary occupancy from where everyone's got to be? And I'm just thinking less about fall activities, because everybody's outdoors except when it rains, which it doesn't do often anymore. That was my joke. Raining nonstop.
I'd answer that this way. We have many buildings that are under TCOs that you occupy, and that there are many things that could cause the building not to have a final CO. It could be landscaping that we're waiting to the fall to install. That's a very common one.
Right.
So there isn't any impact other than, in this case, these particular restrictions that we do feel
That's
is
what I'm getting at.
limited time.
Once we get to October and winter practice starts and you've got basketball and basketball are now, are we done by then, or are we going to have some 6 a.m. practices for the film.
I wouldn't think so, but it doesn't seem like we're ever done, though. But the items that we are dealing with now are very specific in some very specific areas. I'll just give you a quick example. One was a generator, and we had a devil of a time with it working properly, so they are working through some pathways forward to take care of that. But we're moving forward, and we'll keep the superintendent informed as we...
Kind of helps that they don't have varsity this year.
Yeah, it does.
One level of...
Yeah, it does.
Anyways. Any other questions? All right, let's move on. Can I get a motion to approve the June minutes?
So moved.
I can have a second.
Second.
Dr. Motion to approve the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on. Schematic, Parkside. How you doing? Who's leading?
I'm going to start.
All right.
And then I'm going to turn it over. I'm just going to say thank you for allowing us this time to bring you to you our schematic presentation for Wake Early College of Informational Biotechnology. I call it something else just for short, and I just wanted to make sure so I'm going to turn it over to Elizabeth Wakeford and to Alice Reese to start the presentation.
Good afternoon. As Elizabeth said, thank you for this opportunity to present the schematic design of H11, the Wake Early College of Information and Biotechnologies, aka Wikip, and M19 Parkside Middle School. Wikip will be associated with Wake Tech RTP. And it'll accommodate 200 9th and 10th grade students who will continue on to Wake Tech RTP for 11th and 12th grades. So just down the block, basically. Parkside Middle School is a smaller middle school with a total population of 936 students. And due to significant site constraints, which will be discussed momentarily, both Wikip and Parkside Middle will be housed within a single building on Paramount Parkway. It should be noted that this program was originally intended to be located at Little Drive and Davis Drive. You all may remember that. But it was later determined it would occupy the Paramount Parkway site instead.
So I was going to say Lisa, but you're saying, whatever you're saying, that was going to be at a different location, and now because of the swap, it's going to be effectively right next to the Wake Tech.
That's right. That's right. So
That's great.
the original location is now Morrisville Middle School.
I'm
Morrisville High School.
just kind of reminding people if they're paying attention.
And so I'll turn it over to Alice, and she'll review the site.
Hello. So the site is located in the red circle up in Morrisville. You can see the airport here in the upper right-hand corner. And then for context, Little and Davis site is down here in the lower left-hand corner. And again, this is the site right here. We're going to be building on the forested portion. This is Wake Tech's campus here. I'm just going to spend a few more minutes than I typically do on site analysis because there's quite a few factors that really drive the design you're about to see, namely a couple natural features and then a couple man-made features. So the natural features that really influence this site are the topography, and that's all these kind of squiggly lines here in this portion of the site. That means there's a lot of grade change, and we're talking about 40 feet between this blue shaded area and this black dashed line here. Meanwhile, the width of that around the widest part's just about 550 feet. So if I was to translate that to the ADA code, that means it's a ramp, considered a ramp with handrails. on a middle school site and our high school sites, when we have those larger footprints, track, a larger building footprint, that translates generally into retaining walls. But I think we knew that going into this. Let's talk about the other natural features. The stream buffers here are the blue shaded areas. So our property line to the west is a stream. We have a stream running, not quite midpoint of the site, but it definitely influences where we can just put big things. We can't build in the stream buffers, don't forget. And then that topography, of course, it starts high and it falls down low to the stream buffer, so that water's all running downhill. We have another stream buffer here between us and Wake Tech. So the man-made influences, it's a 36-acre site. That's total. The buildable area is going to be somewhat less when you take out those stream buffers. We also have this corner of the site, which we leased to Morrisville for a future fire station. And why we chose this corner is this black dashed line, which I mentioned before. That's the airport overlay, the RDU airport overlay. And per Morrisville's code, K-12 cannot be developed in the overlay. So all this area is basically off limits for our development. So you see that really is squeezing a lot of our high activity to this portion of the site. And we'll see that in the next slide. Okay, so just to orient you, we twisted this a little bit so we could blow up that picture as big as possible. But Paramount's running here with the airport off over here. Here's Lenovo. Wake Tech is here. And that forested portion on the bottom edge of the screen. So we've got the building located there, like I said, that widest part of the site. And we have athletics over the other portions of the site. We are locating the middle school entrance at basically the highest portion of the site, and it's going to have a one-story administration suite where they enter. So again, we're keeping that scale appropriate for our, sixth graders are still 11, 12. They can be young. So we like to have that scale appropriate for them. Behind the entrance, we have some higher volume one-story spaces. So that's your gym and your auditorium. And then you have your classroom wings that are built into the site. So they're 3-level. And this portion of the site, like I said, is 1-level or 2-level when you get over here to the high school site. This line here between the buildings is a retaining wall. So that's dividing it where you have 3 levels on this side of the wall, 2 levels on this side of the wall. So middle school parents enter off of Paramount. They get to enjoy a beautiful ride, looking at the stream buffer, coming around and drop off here, go back the way they came. And if you're arriving on bus, you have a ride past the loading dock and the gym and auditorium and drop off here at the same side of the building. For high school, now I didn't really talk about WESIP High School. They're located closer to Paramount Parkway in this wing of the building. And so we flip-flopped the vehicular circulation. So parents enter at the lower driveway, drop off their students, and exit. So now they're entering on the higher side of the building. Buses are entering off of Paramount towards Lenovo at the lower level. And administration is right in this corner. Elizabeth will go more into that, but it's a great way to get all these uses into a very tight site.
Question for my own clarity.
Yeah.
The side behind near Lenovo, that was 40 feet higher and it's sloping back, or it's sloping the other way?
Other way. This is your stream, the low point.
Oh, I
And
see.
it's climbing up this way.
Got it.
Yep. The athletic fields, like I mentioned, they're back here. We have softball before the stream buffer, so this is that stream buffer that's going through the site. What's really great about this design is this is a pedestrian plaza. It's going to be beautifully verdant and shaded. Right, Wesley? That's our architect right there. And so the students can access the fields without crossing vehicular drive. So that's very key, very important. And the gym is here in this portion of the building. So that makes it easy for PE. You can just zip out here, go play softball. We have track is a little bit further down. Our competition field's a little bit further down. But we're able to flatten this area and provide that for the middle school. Per Morrisville's ordinance, they require a little more parking than we typically provide to Morrisville, but it's going to work out beautifully in this plan because we can put some of that extra parking down here for athletics, and that's great for our visitors who are coming to watch our middle school athletic events. Let me just point out some retaining walls.
Yes.
How do the students access the track?
So there's a sidewalk that goes continuously, and again, this is the gym inside, comes right here around the bus loop, or they can go through my shady plaza, pick up a sidewalk here, cross the stream, just more sidewalk, and go up to the track. I don't know if we'll have a connection at this end yet. We haven't really, we're at SD, so we haven't sharpened our pencils to really look at all the grading down to the, 1 foot contour or less. But they certainly can walk along here and enter the track.
Follow up.
Yeah. How, do we have a lot of, I'm trying to think of the middle schools in my district, and I mean, I'm looking at that, even though it's not a road, it is an access, a vehicle access point, parking, et cetera, that they'll have to cross. Is that typical for middle school? It wouldn't concern me as much if it were high school, but.
Right. Yeah, I'm thinking too. I don't think there's many, but let me make an important point. Is this road connecting all the way through was part of the interlocal agreement with the town of Morrisville and Wake Tech. It'll be used only for emergency access. So there'll be controlled access here and probably controlled access after here. So cars won't be driving through.
You just said that we're going to use parking out there. I mean, that
During
means.
after school events.
Okay.
Yep. There's enough staff parking here and here to serve the needs of our daily use.
Okay.
Follow up.
Yes. I mean.
Ms. Rice first, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We've been whispering to Dr. Zay, I have to have the same concerns. And the only concern, the reason why I have it, because I'm hearing the great things of what's going to be, but I'm looking in the realities of where we are currently as a district and the challenges that come back to us after the fact that need to be fixed. I am deeply concerned about the one entrance in and out. Is what it looks like over by 8, close by 8, right, when you just said where they come in. I know we just talked about where Ms. Edmonds was just referencing coming in, but what is, that looks like I was have a question around the difference between the traffic of the middle school versus the high school level of where we are, and I'm not quite sure of how many middle school students the school will have in reference to that. And so I do have some concerns around what we are seeing. I don't know if that's going to be something discussed further or what, but I am concerned about the entrance exit only space that we only have. And I'm only speaking it from the realities of what we currently deal with right now, that schools have to try to fix and mitigate later when school is in session, carpooling. I'm a carpool parent, right?
Me too.
And so all I'm thinking about is what I'm seeing around this carpool life and the traffic and the way that you're saying people coming in and out. I would like to see a little bit more, and I don't know what that looks like, to be honest with you, but I do have serious concerns.
Let me add to that, and I can get it all out and I'm whispering, we try to be
Thank you,
nice.
Doctor.
I kind of share part of what DOT will do with a traffic study and some of the recommendations that they will make. I don't even call them recommendations, I'll say requirements that they have to place. And so part of what she was wondering was really the difference between middle school and high school traffic, because with the high school, it's going to be both students driving and faculty, a lot more cars, versus a middle school that's, for the most part, going to have parents that are driving. So if you could just kind of, I don't know if it's part of your presentation or not, but
Sure.
part of what you
No,
wondering.
that's an easy question.
We got a more difficult one.
It's good, thank you for bringing that up. So let me start by saying Paramount Parkway is a town of Morrisville street, so it is not maintained by DOT. So it's under the jurisdiction of Morrisville, first of all. Second of all, we have, again, I said it's about 550 feet at the narrowest portion. Typically, DOT and most municipalities like a driveway spaced 600 feet apart. So that really limits how much access we get to have to the site. We're already required by the town to line up with this. There's an office building across the way, and they have two entrances into their parking lot right now. One here and one here. So that basically forced our driveway locations. And then, yep. And then we always separate the parent and the bus traffic so we can keep our buses running on time. So right there, two driveways, two uses, limited and forced all of our traffic in and out of the same driveway. You know me, I don't like to do that at all. This is what we have here. We're going to likely have to restrict those driveways to right in, right out only. And I know what you're thinking. We've spoken with our traffic engineers about it as well. It's going to require some management, and we'll, yep. Go
Just
ahead.
follow up. So I think that I believe that you have thought this through very well. The challenge that I say again is the reality of what we have thought through around this table and what you have thought through in your office space prior to when school actually happens. What is the plan that they will really have to navigate this process? Because I continue to say all the time, what we discuss around this table doesn't always reach the school-based level all the time. And so we see this now, but people get students as well, parents, because we're the ones who got to drive.
Yeah.
And staff trying to navigate it, get really frustrated with what we're doing and what's going on. I really just need to know what that looks like in reality, not what we hope or propose, but in reality, how do we help this school navigate the narrowness of what things are than normal and be able to move their traffic. And then on top of that, because we're being realistic, and this is what we see now, there's beautiful, there's that long driveway, because Roseville, I know we're talking the difference between middle school and high school, but Roseville has a very long driveway as well. But I promise you, that traffic is still outside on the main street where you're saying other people. So we're talking about the office buildings on the other side, and we want to be kind to our neighbors. And they're having to come in and out of work too. So I'm just saying, I just really want to see a little bit better preparation around the realities of what we know is going to happen around traffic flow.
Yeah, and I didn't mention, the middle school has 936 students, the high school has 200 students, and so those are freshmen and sophomores at the high school, so there will be no high school drivers here. So we're talking just the parents and the buses. They have different start and dismissal times, so that helps. With these plans, we do provide a traffic management plan. We do provide sort of coaching and training to the principals prior to the start of the school year. Parents do their own thing.
Continual training.
We do continual
also.
training. I think in this case, the right out only will assist with traffic because the streets surrounding the school are pretty well connected, that if you turn right, you're not driving 3 miles out of your way to get back to where you wanted to go. It's when parents try to turn left out of a single driveway entrance is what prevents everybody from getting in and out and causes the conflict. So I did also want to mention, we spoke with Wake Tech about using the road here, even if it was limited to buses, and they were not open to that because they had concerns about their own students and getting on and off campus as well. So we've definitely, like you said, we have looked at options, and again, working with the town and our TIA and our traffic engineers to come up with the best solution.
I'm going to follow up on this, and I'm going to go to Ms. Caulfield. And this just came about based on what you said, which is different drop-off times for the buses. Is there a reason to have then 2 separate bus drop-off locations? I get that the schools are slightly different, but it's not that far of a walk, and with that, I mean, you're going to have, what, 5 to 10 buses probably at the most for high school, and then a bunch for the middle school. Are we wasting space on having a separate, I should say like that, are we, because we have 2 different drop-offs. We have high school bus drop-offs and then middle school, so I'm just kind of wondering.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
What buses would we run to the high school if it's an application school?
That's a good question.
Why do we need high school buses? We don't traditionally provide those to early colleges, do we?
Seasons.
Yes, most of our early colleges do have some form of express transportation available for families. Not all of them, but there will be some defined express routes. And I do believe the town of Morrisville has also been working to try to find some shuttle service they can provide as well for students that may be in their service area. So there, on occasion, there will be some, but you're right, most families.
Like right now, there's no dedicated bus route.
There are express routes.
She has 2 buses.
Only express routes.
So how many buses would, I mean, so it gets back to the point, like, are we, I don't know, if it's 5 buses, this is, you don't have to answer it now, but
Right.
just put it out there, like, does it need its own
Well,
bus?
if none of them are yellow school buses, that's a if they're all express buses, that's a different animal than a yellow school bus.
So as a reminder, an express route is just the description for how far away the stops are.
Right.
But it's still a yellow school bus.
Okay.
Anyway, so something put out there for now. I want to go to Ms. Caulfield because she's been waiting. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bear with me, I have a couple of questions, I'm sorry. Is there a light at the entrances, or will there be for both of these?
We don't know yet for sure if there will be. Typically, schools do not generate the traffic to support a signal.
Okay, even a blinking and then it turns to south, okay. And then how much development is possible for around it? You mentioned that there's businesses on the opposite side, but what about what's underneath it?
Sangeeta, can you go back a couple slides, please?
And the reason I ask is because of the example that Ms. Rice brought up about Roseville High School. It is a really long driveway that goes up and all the way around the whole property,
Yes.
all the way
Yes.
to the back, winds around, and it still feeds back onto the main road where you can't get in or out.
Right.
And then those people that need to make a left can't see who's coming, and they're building a gigantic development right across the street.
Right.
So,
Oh, yes.
you know, so then that brings in a
I'm
lot
aware.
more traffic. So I'm just wondering, because you have the parents are coming in at the top where the number 8 is, but that is also shared with the high school, any buses or anything that comes in, correct?
Correct, at different times, though. The buses will be there earlier before the middle school parents arrive. So they'll come and go, and then it'll be used just by middle school.
And then my second part was over by the track and field area. There, you said that they'll use the sidewalk across the parking entrance to go in. So I'm assuming that this will be, you said there's no high school drivers?
Correct.
Okay, so even parents coming in and out, they have to loop around and then come back out. So there will be traffic in and out of that area while people are walking to it?
No. So the parents for high school, for Wikip, their route is simply in, out. Because there's only 200 students, we don't need that much stacking. So this is the bus loop, and this is essentially just that emergency connection that Morrisville required.
So parents are not going to be attending the competition track and field area?
Oh, they can, I'm sorry. When there's an event, this gate can be opened, and parents can drive back here. So I'm hearing that's your concern, is when there's event students crossing the road.
Right, that
And
the
we'll
students will
definitely
be
look
crossing.
at creating a safe crossing, for sure.
And where will the parents park when they, for whatever reason, come
For
to
events.
school? Or for events or even just coming to school?
Visitor parking is here for
So they
middle
park back
school.
there with staff?
Yep,
Okay.
and then there's visitor parking for the high school in this lot.
Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
we do have situations where essentially this is crossing an aisle to a parking lot. We do have some situations like that in the schools. It's not an active road.
Okay. Thank you.
That's why we're here.
I just,
No, we'll definitely look at that sidewalk.
it's middle schoolers, and I don't care that it's just a parking lot. I mean, it's, to your point earlier, some of our middle schoolers are still babies.
Yeah. You're just running on that side.
We'll
and go
bring them
around.
on this side.
Yep.
Along these trees.
Yeah, we will
Here
definitely look at that.
Yeah, it
the
just,
entrance. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you're making a great point.
Yeah.
we need to be thoughtful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a gate at the other end, though? Fully gated on both sides?
Yeah, we'll prevent access around here and here.
So they'd be walking on a gated street, so there shouldn't be any traffic during school.
That's right.
Yeah, during the school day. But they're right, during an after-hours event, those gates will be open to allow for parking, and then there may be students crossing, but we'll definitely look at that.
Yeah, let's see.
How does a emergency vehicle get back there with the gate there if it's during school?
They have a Knox box on them, or they drive right through.
Or Jakey.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that answer.
I just say that because I work on a fire station in Morrisville, and they're like,
I have one right next door, and it's just below the, can you
Yeah.
just shine where it's going to be on there so people, right there? Yeah, nice, okay.
I don't think I got it.
okay, so
Oh, hang on.
we talked about retaining walls.
The development that's underneath there, did they?
Okay, so this is owned by Wikip, and in the ILA, they have an agreement with the town of Morrisville for passive park and recreation. So walking trails, maybe a disc golf course.
Okay, so no extra traffic? Not really? Okay. Thank you.
So just let me talk about retaining walls really quick. I don't think I mentioned them. I mentioned them, but didn't point them out. Here's a retaining wall. So again, we're low, so there's a retaining wall along the drive, holding up the driveway. There's a retaining wall in the building, holding up that second half of the building. There's a retaining wall along this edge of the site. There's a retaining wall holding up the softball field here between this stream buffer, both stream buffers. And there's a retaining wall here holding up the track so we can fit in our stormwater device. Oh, and I'm sorry, crossing at the stream.
Thank you.
And, yep, thanks, you did. So this is I like this picture because it kind of gives you an idea of the massing and those retaining walls and how everything is compactly fitting into the site. You can see the airport overlay back here. This would be the high school drop-off, so this is the carpool loop and the high side dropping off and entering here. The bus loop on the low side entering here. This are the middle school classroom wings here, and those are 3-story. The drop-off is behind the building. You can see looking way in the back, softball, track and field. And the stream buffer separating from the commercial.
When you just mentioned parking, so parking for high school, is that correct? 57 spots?
Yes.
So with that said, and we have 200 and something high school students? Okay. And so just because this particular high school probably have more parent engagement and activeness because of the type of high school that it is, where do these parents get to go if you just half of the students, there's 200 and something students, if you just have half of the students, or dad and mom say, hey, we can't ride together, but I meet you there. So parking is filled with if only half of the parents actually show up or participate. Where are they going after 57 parks are full?
So you're talking for an after-hours event or a special event?
It's both, because we do both. I mean, we do both. There are things that take place in school during school hours, because that's what parent engagement is all about. So what do we do for both? Not either or, but both and.
So we typically don't provide the parking for the large events because that just takes way too much space. The more impervious, the bigger our stormwater ponds. But we do, say it carefully.
Yeah, and I get that part. I'm only asking, what do we? Yeah, I get that part. I know we're not here to build schools that there's a parking spot for every child that's in school. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, where are they going to go when parking is full? Like the way that you see you have the ramp there, where do families go? Because parking is going to be overflooded. So we know that's what's happening. So where will families be able to go, regardless that we can only offer limited parking spaces? What's the plan for parents to go that's convenient while they're doing that? And typically, they don't let us park in the bus loop. I don't know. Is that what you're saying, Tim?
So there's a lot of pavement on the site, yes. So there could be a lot of spaces to park.
Sure, Haggerty.
I was just to clarify the point, when we talk about the high school students, high school parking on the campus, the only students are the 9th and 10th graders, right? And
Right.
typically don't have the student parking.
Right.
Right, and the 11th and 12th grade would park on the community college side?
Yes.
Correct.
And that would be permitted by our agreement with Wake Tech?
Correct. Yes.
Those are for teachers, right, for high school?
Yes.
Yes.
And then we do have some parent visitor parking.
I think that's what they're saying.
Do you want to ask that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so is there a need for student parking?
That's not student parking.
No, it's 9th and 10th graders.
Yeah.
It's staff parking.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We move on to the building. Any more site questions?
As Alice described earlier, next one.
Yes.
Yes. This building, the design of this building responds really well to its site, with the 3-story middle school classroom wings stepping down the slope east to west. You have an overall 2-story building profile as seen from Paramount Parkway. We've been tasked with the requirement to keep the high school and middle school populations separate at all times. So the main entrances to each school are at opposite ends of the building. Again, this is the high school entrance, and the middle school entrance is at the back of the building here. Paramount Parkway runs here. The two schools are unobtrusively divided internally, sharing only the kitchen facilities. So you're not going to see, like giant walls saying, don't enter. They're just, it's done very nicely. Let's see. We have, in the high school side, we have admin and student services, and we have classroom. This is the high school classroom wing here. This is outdoor dining here, indoor dining and kitchen facilities here, loading dock back here, obviously the gym, auditorium, health classrooms, locker rooms, etc. back here, performing arts back here, and then at this end is student services here for middle school, admin for middle school here, and the two classroom wings for middle school. The main entrance to the middle school, the science classroom wings are here. We've got, let me go to the lower, can we go to the next slide, Cynthia? The lower level separates libraries and library support spaces for each school. So this is the high school library and its support spaces. There's a learning commons between the actual where the books are stored and the library workroom here. This is the middle school library area and its supporting spaces. And down here is a multi-purpose room for the high school, which is essentially a small gym for them to have PE classes. We've got a health ed class down here. And then in the middle school classroom wings, we have the science, we have CTE, etc.
That's the middle school?
This is the middle school here.
So where's the entrance for the high school?
It's on this, can you go back one slide, please? This is the main level that's even with Paramount Parkway. So this is the main high school entrance, and on the other side of the building is the main middle school entrance.
Let me rephrase, because I'm looking back at the high school bus drop-off. Where do they get at?
The high school bus drop-off?
Is below the academic.
On the lower level?
Back to the building.
Yeah, it's on the lower level, on
Yeah,
ground
so I was trying
zero.
to-
We call it ground zero, first
Yeah.
floor, and
It's
then
right
second
here.
floor. Yes.
Bus drop-off right here for high school.
So I'm just going to ask about this process, because we're having the conversation about land usage and the bus drop-off specifically, and we see the renderings, and you're saying keep them separate. I can see on the drawings, here's the split, and they're basically right next to each other.
Right.
Is there not a way, or what would be the process if we said, if we're not going to have many buses there, and we have all this space we're using for high school bus drop-off, what would be the process for just evaluating that and taking a look to see if you all can have more space to use,
Right.
and it could alleviate
Through
some
that.
traffic?
Absolutely. We just work with our transportation folks.
No, but I'm saying,
It's-
like, what would it do for the design process if, like you said, okay, we can either run all the buses here, so we can then use this for something else? Like, so if we wanted to see something like that, is that totally blowing up the whole timeline and the process? Is this, like, are we voting on this or nothing? Like, how does that process work?
Well, I mean, your entrances are on complete opposite sides, as are the driveways.
Right,
That would-
but we talked about, like, why have a high school bus drop-off if we have 5 buses, kind of thing. And it appears to be a lot of space. And so I guess I'm getting to the point, too, of when these plans come to us and we approve them, are we just, hey, rubber stamping, or are we saying, asking questions that provoke some reconsideration of some things?
No. Yeah,
That's a good
absolutely.
point. Yep.
Absolutely, we can work with transportation.
Well, they wanted the two
Yeah,
distinct
that's what they said it's staggered arrival.
first. For we said, no, for high school and middle school, that was
Right.
one of our tasks, was
Yes.
2 distinct entries. But if there's 2 entries but a shared bus loop, I mean, we could certainly,
Look at that.
but it would
Anyways,
take high school students.
Yeah,
off.
Dave.
And Alice,
Yeah.
really for you, I guess if we were to say we're not going to have buses, for the high school, a
Or a
trade-off.
separate bus loop,
Okay.
or a separate bus loop if there's 3 or 4 buses.
Okay,
Oh.
certainly if we're going to keep the buses, we're going to go as if we were trying to eliminate the buses specifically to the high school. We'd have to trade off of needing maybe an extended drop-off, car drop-off loop, because we wouldn't be relying on bus service. So there could be those trade-offs. So in this particular case, we actually do only have 5 or 6 spaces for buses on the high school drop-off. So that's not a significant amount of space. A lot of that space is returning, and what Alice was kind of referring to, there's a lot of room on the sides. That's because of the radius that's required for it.
Sure.
And so, and those off times, you could probably get some unofficial parking, that can happen. But of course, timing is critical. That needs to clear out before the buses are coming in.
I'm semi-following. So you're saying we would use the bus loop part for bus parking?
No, we would not be parking buses there. They're only there to pick up and then to drop
Right.
off, and they keep on going out.
Sure.
They're only going to be coming to the school 2 times during the day. The rest of the day, there's nothing happening in that lot.
Right, so I think what we're asking, and my colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, is there not a better use for that space if we're having 5 buses there, and that's 4 or 5 buses maximum for this, and we've created this, we're using it for a loop. If we got rid of that bus loop and said they can go figure out a different way in for those 4 or 5 buses, and you had more space to build or do whatever the creative team is.
So what that does allow us to do, and what Dave is trying to say, is by having that bus loop there, it allows that flexibility. So you have 2 buses that are going to come in there. If we have a snow day, let's just say we have a snow day, and we need to line up in that bus loop, then we can drive those other 2 buses to the other bus loop at the middle school. So having that bus loop there allows us that flexibility. So if we run into a trouble, or if we have to triple stack through that bus loop because we're running all out on the road, then we have the ability to do that. If we take that away, then you're taking that flexibility away. So then it may be that we don't know what are we going to do with the students if we run out on the carpool and all of that. So that bus loop allows this campus that is a split campus, that you're going to have middle and high school, flexibility.
I'm not talking about the entire middle school car loop that goes.
Oh, no, I'm talking about just the bus loop. Yeah. It just allows us that we could, because I'm looking at it and I was like, well, we could put, and during a snow day, you can line cars up into that bus loop and let the cars go, and you have one person and you just let people go. You can get, I don't even know how many more cars you could get on the site by having that bus loop there. But I'll go back to say that we will reevaluate it and look at what we can do. I mean, what y'all tell us gives us things to go back to the drawing board and think about it.
If you were to have a joint bus loop there, you wouldn't have 2 entrances. Would you have to change the entrances?
If you
Because you have middle
I'm
school
gonna
on
let you-
one side, the high
Mhm.
school entrance
Yeah.
on completely opposite side.
Well, that middle school, I mean, those are middle school classrooms in yellow right next to them.
That's right.
That's 20 yards from the high school entrance.
Right, but
Yeah.
the middle school enters here.
Right.
The high school enters here. So if you do a combination, now you're not having 2, you know what I'm saying? Much change right through the entrance.
So you're saying consider having a joint interest?
I was saying that might be a difficulty if you do
Entries.
have a joint.
Right.
Right.
That you
Okay,
won't
okay.
have the
That was
2
separate.
entrances.
You won't,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, having 2 separate is, yeah.
Is there a-
Yes.
Dr. Andrews?
Looking at the map, and I'm not an architect, but I mean, is there a way to incorporate the high school bus entry, exit or the loop in that area where the high school staff visitor student parking area is.
You mean just combine the buses using the parent carpool loop since there's only 2 buses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in the eastern edge of that property. I mean, no, on the other side, by number 1.
High school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can, yeah, what that would do is it would increase the amount of stacking that we need, which is going to be tough because of where that building has to go, because of the stream buffers and, it's located there. We have looked at, like Elizabeth said, our flexibility on a snow day is if there's a lot of parents driving, they can actually take, they can go all the way down, loop through this bus loop, and then head back to the high school. Why that's not ideal is it introduces a conflict point right here. But if we had to, it's
Like a one-off.
a one-off situation. So likely with adding the buses to this amount of stacking, we would have to run the parents further back into the site so they didn't back out onto the road. But we could certainly look at it again.
We'll worry about it.
So I've got a philosophical question about this separate entrances. We have the leadership academies that are all on one campus, and there's middle school and high school for 9th, 10th. And yes, they're single sex. Why are we so focused on ensuring complete separation to the point of not even having like just one entrance at a school?
We have been asked for these 2 programs to keep them completely separate. They do not want them to interact with
Is it an academic ask? Is this okay.
Yeah, and if you remember, the current Morrisville High School was designed the same way, at Little Drive and Davis Drive, complete separation between the 2. And actually, yeah, that's where Wikip is going to be first while this is being built.
I understand the classrooms, but just, hey, the high school is down this way and the middle school is down this way, and you said they somewhat share the lunch area?
They do not.
We're working on that. Those also need to be completely
They'll be
separate.
separate.
Okay.
Point of clarity, Chair. So help me better understand, I know you're saying this is what you've been asked. What's the difference between being separated academically, but you're being separated and then separated physically? I don't understand the line of...
So I think it's just a choice that we make as a district, because you can all, this wouldn't be a unique design. You've got so many buildings where 2 different schools share a common space, but they are physically separated. And you've got places where they share a common space and there's not a physical separation. And so it was just an academic choice that was made at some point. There's nothing that says it has to be one versus the other. So, and I don't know the rationale of when that decision was made. That would have been probably
It was
maybe 4
actually,
years ago.
7 years ago when we started building the original.
So who was the authority of that
Designing.
decision?
That was our academic, our...
And I just didn't know if it was the authority of the board's decision with what we do, chair and chair. I don't know how to answer that. I've just been here for 2 years, so just curious.
Yeah. And so the other thing I would add is that when those design decisions were made 7 years ago, then it was done with a specific cost in terms of the architect designing them. And so like anything else, if there's a desire to say we want to make a change, you can always do that. That's going to also involve things that are associated with the design. That causes a delay in the construction. So David, and you all may want to add to that, but it's just simply a choice that's made, but whatever that decision was 7 years ago, you, for the most part, kind of went down that design path. But to change it, you know, is just a choice that you make, and that will, it could delay the project, it could not. I absolutely know it's going to come with a cost because you're talking about a different design structure, but doesn't mean you can't do any of that. So I'll kind of let you all
And the reason
respond.
why I asked, Chair, is because 7 years ago and then today, things have changed. We see things. That's almost a 10-year gap, which means we can assess things a little bit better of what schools are looking like today based off when we built them back then. But the reality, we thought that was great, but now today we see that there is a difference in how things really look in reality. And so that's why I'm saying I think that they did their best of due diligence 7 years ago, but let's look at it, the realities of where we are today when we were thinking almost a decade ago, let's be realistic, almost a decade ago of where we are then, but what the realities are today, at what space that it goes back to our chair's point of asking, are we rubber stamping or are we actually asking for changes and accommodations that can actually be made based upon what we see as reality today?
Yeah, and I can answer. I'm sorry, Glenn helped me out behind me. The reason why we did separate these schools completely was back in when we did start designing 5-6 years ago. The reason is these schools don't feed to each other. So what they were trying to do is middle school, they didn't want them to start interacting with the high schools because this is not the school that you're going to feed to. This is a separate campus. So they wanted it to remain completely separate because the kids at Parkside are going to go to who knows where. They're going to a different school. So that is the reason why they wanted their own identities. It was very important to them to keep their own identities. At one point, we didn't even have these schools connected. They were two separate schools on the site. So we did it for efficiency to connect them. So that was the reason why we do not connect and overlap the two populations. Sorry. Glenn.
Good answer. No, you're answering. You're answering is what we want. Thanks for answering.
I don't want to go into the weeds, but I was wondering, you know, just an idea, or not just that loop for the middle school drop-off and the middle school bus loop. If there was a connecting road between them that could be like closed off as so that you could open it up if you need to, as a way to have better flow or better emergency exit capacity. Just an idea, it's just a thought. I mean, it'll be hopefully a minimal architectural change, but.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, we have a couple of schools that we do that with.
I just, at the end of the day, we knew this was going to be a challenging site. And in the middle of this process, we had to switch the actual locations, the actual sites for the middle school, right? The middle school was not originally designed for this site. But to keep everything on task and on time, we've had to make changes, we've had to make accommodations. It's not necessarily the design we would have picked when we started the process. But I think at some point, we have to see what can we do with the limitations that we have, come up with the best possible plan. And if we keep going back and trying to change it and trying to improve it, that just keeps pushing the final deadline further and further out, because any change in design requires changes in specs, different changes in materials, different changes in orders, and you might never actually get it complete. So I think there's been some good suggestions made. I think that you've heard those suggestions. We'll take them under advisement, see what's possible, not possible. But I'm satisfied with the plan, for the residents. I know that we said we'll serve distance residents all over the county, but for the middle school for the residents in my district, I'm satisfied with the design.
Just, I was thinking about the academic piece that we talked about a minute ago. I really appreciate that, because I was sitting here thinking, well, I don't get it either. Like, mainly because it's only 9th and 10th graders.
Right.
And so, you know, like you, I was like, well, why does this got to be so, you know, but forgetting that it's an application school, and that's a huge piece. So that was really helpful to hear that, because that, yeah, that's an element that is significant. That it, yeah.
You'd see something different like at Leesville Road with the middle school and
Sure.
the high school, where they will
Right.
come across share classes and some things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the second level, third level of the building, but the second level of the high school, right here. And the third level of the middle school here. The gym is here. We may or may not have it open to below. We're still, you know, this is schematic design. We're still working out some details. But this is the roof of the auditorium here, just to orient you. In the high school, we have a maker space up here, which is visible from down below and actually from the high school entrance. Yeah, right here in the purple. So it's going to have glass all around it. People are going to be able to see what's going on, what these Wikip kids are doing. So that'll be kind of fun. Next, thank you. So here are the elevations. The north elevation at the top shows the front entrance of the Wikip High School. This faces Paramount Parkway. The west side is the side along the middle school bus drive and the high school drive, facing the stream buffer, and across, I would be Lenovo looking back at the school. Is the west right there. Next, please. South elevation shows the entrance to the middle school here. And then this is sort of the back of house loading dock. That's the east side that runs along the airport overlay, where we don't have a whole lot happening there. In all of these, you can see the choice of materials and how the nice neutral earth tones are carried throughout the whole building. But there is a definite, next one please, thank you. Definite difference between the high school entrance and the middle school entrance. Again, the materials used kind of continue out throughout the building. These are brick, fiber cement panels, again, schematic design, but that's what we're looking at. And this entrance looks very different from the middle school entrance. Next, please. But they have a similar, you know, they're tied together very nicely in this one building. Next, please. This is the overall schedule as it stands right now. Construction will start May of 2027, and we will occupy 2 years later, July of 29. And that is the plan for the whole building, not just one half, so.
At one point, there was some talk about getting one piece done first, was there not, for the early college?
We're going to do them both at the same time.
Okay.
Let's
That makes sense, I just wanted to...
And I think at some point, that's when they were talking about 2 separate buildings,
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Yeah, we're trying to get the whole building done at once, right?
All right,
Yeah.
thank you for that, that was an excellent discussion.
Thank you.
Great. I'm going to move Leo up.
Flow right into Morrisville.
Allison and I are just going to hang out here.
Do it.
All right.
We're going to lead right into our Morrisville High School update. We have Alice and Leah going to walk us through.
So this is the same Morrisville High School. I don't know, have you done a presentation since it flipped? I guess not, but the architect is Evo. They're based in Durham. And we have J.C. Waller for site and Surface for site as well. And then we have T.A. Loving, it's our CMAR. And this is our lovely logo, the Trailblazers. And this is our agenda, so we'll do a site update, just current status of the building, the parking deck and stadium additions that are new since we are transforming this into a high school only, and then the annex athletic facilities here for elementary. And then we'll have the interior conversion update, the things that we're changing to make it work for high school only, and then the swing space areas that Lisa will be using at the high school while their building you just saw is being constructed.
In case you haven't seen it, the site is definitely under construction. You can see it from an airplane if you've flown out of RDU. This is drone footage. The building is essentially complete except for interior, which Leo will talk about more. So this will remain. You can see the outline of softball, competition field and track, and surface parking lot. So again, this was originally designed as a middle school with a WISA component in it. All right, so here's how we're doing the flip. Okay, so actually from a bird's eye view, the changes to the site are fairly minor. We're able to use a lot of what you saw in that drone footage without ripping it out and building new. So the carpool route will be the same. The difference that we've made, because now Morrisville High School, we will have our student drivers. So we've added a dedicated lane coming into the parking deck for students, and that is here, this blue line. We have to separate them from carpools so that we can count all that as, all the pink as stacking. So that's an addition. The blue rectangle is a deck, parking deck, so that's an addition. And then third, we're upgrading the middle school competition field and track to a high school level, which means adding a press box and some additional stadium seating. The original design, and maybe you picked it up in the drone footage, but we talked about, again, using the topography to build our site and build into the site. So that surface parking lot was terraced into the site. So the deck also will be terraced into the site to where, if you look at it from Little Drive, which is Little Drive's here, you're seeing 3 stories. If you're looking at it from the building side, you're only seeing 2 stories. So you don't, very, very purposely did not put a giant parking deck out front of our brand new, beautiful school. Let me make one more mention on that deck. So our staff is going to park at the lower level and the students up on the 2nd and 3rd level. And next slide, Sangeeta. And the reason for that is going to be mainly because we don't want the students crossing that carpool drive as they leave their cars to go to school. So we are going to be building a pedestrian bridge over that carpool drive. This accomplishes a couple other things which you're going to like. One, it requires only one elevator then for the press box and the deck. We can put the elevator in the press box area, and that serves to take students who may need an elevator or guests to a game across the bridge in the elevator and down to the main level, the entry level of the school and the stadium. Also, DPI, well, we don't cross kids across an active carpool lane. So recognizing that the pedestrian bridge is located here at this corner of the deck, the school entrance is here, it's not really a direct route. There's a lot of reasons for that. The shortest distance is here, so that's cost of construction. Dave made us do it. No, I'm kidding. But what we've really done is try to capitalize on that location and really challenge the architect to create a sense of place, a sense of identity, and really parlay that into a part of the day that will add to the students' experience at school, and that journey going from the deck to the school or from the school to the deck. So when you're on the deck and going across the bridge, you actually, if you can go to the next slide, Sangeeta, please. There. You can see there's an opening there. So when you're back here on the deck, you get a look into the stadium. I think it's great for branding, identity. I would be excited about that. When you're at the school looking at the bridge, now what we have is this kind of collaboration stair gathering plaza space right outside. And it's built right into what was already designed as the sidewalks leading. They had a really dynamic paving pattern and landscape plan where it leads right up to the entry. So we picked right up on that and created this plaza with stair. So I'm just envisioning every yearbook photo for clubs is going to be taken here. There's lunchtime eating here. All the senior banners can be hung here at the stadium. I think it's just going to be a really great place to create, thinking this was originally designed as a middle school, and now we're creating a high school, which that branding and identity is pretty important. The entrance to the stadium is through this opening here. So I've been working with Darren Coe, talking with him a lot about this space up here. It potentially could be used for collaboration space during the day. We were thinking that would be fun. You know, one of the things that I like to do when looking at high schools is what are those spaces we could create to keep them on campus at lunchtime so that they return to the classes that they have after lunch. And so I always try to create those spaces that they want to be. During a game, though, maybe that's where Booster Club sets up a merch table. Maybe that's where the access is prohibited and it's cameras and filming. So again, we're working through that and the logistics of that, but it's just, I think it's a great space that is coming out of the project. Yep, next slide, Sangeeta. Okay, and then we have the satellite athletics at Cedar Fork. And so when Morrisville High School was planned for Paramount, that was also the plan. There were to be some athletics located offsite at Cedar Fork. The original plan was the tennis with softball, but our middle school programs come with softball. So softball will be back at Little and Davis, and now we're adding practice fields to Cedar Fork. So we have competition track, competition field, and softball at Little and Davis. We have our 2 practice fields and 6 tennis courts at Cedar Fork. We have baseball at USA Baseball. So that's our complete high school athletic program. We've been having really great conversations with Morrisville. Cedar Fork is already a JUA site. We've been having some really good conversations with them, and in fact, they are wanting to light the courts, the practice fields, and maintain them for us, which, you know, those fall and early spring when it's still kind of dark, and if we have lights, we're extending our use for practice fields and tennis.
Are they covering the cost of the lights being on?
Installation?
Operation, utility bills?
Yes. Yep. So basically, they pay for the product and we'll install it while our contractors are there on site. We run all the conduit properly, we set the separate metering and all. Met with the administration of Cedar Fork Elementary because we really wanted to learn how bringing high school students, particularly with this second field in the back, how that would affect them day to day. And so this field in the back is generally used by 3-5 for recess, but their last recess occurs, I think she said about 3. Yeah, by 3. So as we develop the design further, we're really looking at how to create a separation. Likely, or what is a potential, I mean, there's lots of options for it. Maybe the team that's using this field uses the weight room at Little and Davis first and then comes over here. But we're also looking at fencing because I know that'll make the elementary school parents more comfortable. We have a standalone restroom and storage building for our students here. Additional parking as well. For the student drivers, we have additional bus parking for team buses and stormwater ponds.
Don't forget us.
And then that's it for Cedar Fork. I'll turn it over to Leah.
So speaking of that, the training room that you mentioned, this is one of the spaces that we were originally missing when it was middle school and Wikip. So we're adding the training room where the old high school dining side was, because now the cafeteria is self-contained on the other side. So this was a good spot. It has the door here that goes out to the fields, and it connects to the gym. This is the auxiliary gym here, and the main gym is up here. You can see the bleachers. So that is on the lower floor. So we have training lab, which is like the classroom and training room. And then the next one here, actually go back one. There's another space down here I forgot to talk about. The old high school serving line is now open because we don't need those anymore. So it's going to be like a learning commons space that they can go and eat lunch over there and hang out. So. Yeah, so this was on the left. You can see the old high school admin spaces, which is basically a duplicate of the other wing. So not many of those spaces were needed anymore. We did keep a small section of admin down here so that we can have like extra, I think it's the main principal office. We opened up the lobby on the wing below, so it had more room, so we moved the principal office to this small little section here. And then this also becomes more athletic program that we were missing, weight training and wellness room and an additional locker space. And that is on level 1. It's still, there's ground underneath because there's no part of the lower level under that for the weight room and everything, so that was a big challenge too. So
where we're going to do that.
yeah. And then that's really it, the largest areas that are transforming. And then the next slide, this shows where Wikip is going to be using the building. They're going to move in January, right?
January this year.
December, January. And so ground floor, they're going to be using the ops gym. They'll have these locker rooms to use for their PE class. And they'll be using primarily this stair, which is here. This is the main entrance on the level above. So they'll have one staircase that takes them to every floor. And then they're going to skip level 2 and go straight up to level 3, which is their whole classroom wing here. And then another key point is all of this construction is going to be done before they start. So they'll just be kind of alone in the building.
All the construction of the building or just that?
The interior building is going to be complete by November before they move in.
That's right.
So.
You know, I see a keyword and it makes me excited. So I'm curious, I've never heard this in any other plans or anything we've had. So where did we come up with creating the wellness room for students? And what does that actually look like? I mean, what is that supposed to be about?
So, you want me to explain the wellness room? The wellness room is kind of like your gym that has like your cycle, your bicycles in it, your cardio room. And then it's usually, some of them have an opening that connects right into where the weight room is. So it's like if you go to a gym, like one of your private gyms out there, and you have a weight section, and then you have a wellness where you have your cardio section. That's how that is. Some schools will just make both rooms a weight room. Just make an extended weight room with very little bikes in it. They might have 2 in the whole thing.
So some schools, or is that just the way that we're designing it? So is this something that we'll look at as other schools moving forward, if we do high schools, to have a wellness room? Or is this only tailored to this space?
We have wellness rooms in the other, so Felton Grove will have a wellness room. They probably called it 2 weight rooms at Felton Grove.
You're saying that's what they're going to call it, or is that, because the reason why I'm asking is because I'm looking at what we're defining it here in this space, and so, again, it's about the intentionality, what's happening at this table, is it really flowing out into the school level? Because the way that I hear that you all describing things, it sounds very positive, very uplifting about what your thoughts process, the way that you describe the courtyards and stuff like that. But I'm just, I only have a question, will the students really be able to utilize the space the way that it was designed to be utilized, or will admin change what that looks like?
Well, I wish I had.
So that's why I'm asking these questions, because
So I
you're
can answer
saying,
that question.
thank you, Dr. Taylor.
I'm going to let Dr. Taylor answer that question.
No, that is the absolute right question to ask, and so I know that, the board is highly interested in those kinds of things, that ultimately administration will make determinations, calls at a school. They may decide to do one thing versus another, but that's what we have to make sure of what the intent of the school district is. And so there is site-based management, but we don't want to allow anybody to make a programmatic change that's so great that it goes away from the original intent and design that the board had and that administration has. So there is that site-based management, but part of that is the governance at a school to make sure those kinds of programs are what we want them to be and not morphing into something else. So,
Thank you, sir.
right question to ask.
It's a flexible space.
Yep.
And then this last slide here is just a schedule update, kind of going through each step, because there's a lot of overlap.
Moving pieces.
But yeah, so November, all the interior building construction will be completed, and then we'll move Wikip in December, and they start in January. And then for all of 26-27 school year, it's going to be just Wikip. And then August 2027 is when Morrisville 9th and 10th begin, and they'll share with Wikip. And the parking deck will be done by then. It'll be ready to operate as a high school, but obviously they start as a new school with only 9th and 10th. And then 28 and 29 they'll be sharing again. And then July 2029 is when Parkside, what you saw previously, will be complete, and Wikip will move out and begin at their own facility, and then all 4 grade levels.
One school.
Morrisville.
Questions, comments?
I'm looking at those multi-purpose practice fields. I mean, is it possible to reorient them such that you have more greenery, kind of to have some more trees to kind of obscure that view from the school? Just
It's 8. Slide 8. There you go.
So, the
because it seems
main,
like the 2 practice fields are right against the road, right? Is that a road? Yeah.
Fire line.
that's a fire lane.
Yeah, that's fire line.
And so the
That's true.
So this field is essentially existing.
Oh,
It's
it's
a grass
existing.
field right now, right? This field, what we have here is another, basically topography is shaping that space. We actually have some tiny retaining walls here to make that large flat space. And this is the spot on the site where it's easiest to flatten out that large space needed. But we did have a community meeting, heard from the neighbors. They're interested in a more, a bigger buffer, obviously. So we'll certainly look at adding some landscaping to that.
How big are the retaining walls?
So we haven't actually like put pencil to paper and really, I can't tell you that at this point. They're not huge like you saw at Paramount or Morrisville High School. It's essentially just to lift up that edge of the property.
If you could go to slide number 7, I appreciate the fact that you kind of got creative with getting the kids safely over the carpool. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that looks like? Is it coming from the second floor, I would assume, in the parking deck? And how wide is that? I know we have another high school in my district where there's a lot of bottlenecking, but all the kids are coming at the same time. So I'm wondering how that was considered, making one path for all of these kids to get over at the same time.
So the width of that it's going to be like an 8-foot, I would think.
Oh, I think it's wider than that.
I think it might be 10.
We did think about that too. There were some other options where it was like a ramp instead of the stairs, and thinking back to myself, I just wanted to like not, interact with anyone because I was always late to school, and I would want to like hug the side of the stairs. So there's the left side you can see is just a normal stair, and then the right side it kind of opens up into that like hangout stair. So
And that's
we
easy to
tried to kind of make it as easily navigatable as possible.
And what is the access for children who need either handicap access or something like that?
So all the ADA parking is on the level of that pedestrian bridge.
Okay.
For the students. We also have ADA parking here for visitors and staff, and then the lower level of the site off of Davis. There's another parking lot as well with additional ADA staff parking.
Okay. Thank you.
And if somebody needs to, they go to the elevator then? Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Rice.
On slide, thank you for I'm glad she mentioned the slide. But slide 5, I just had a really quick question. Which I thought was nice that you said that it's going to split for students to go in the parking deck. So with that split, you see right there at the top, when we're coming in as a high school, is that one lane and then it merges? Or is it 2 separate lanes literally even coming in?
It's 2 lanes coming in.
So it won't be like in other schools where it's the lane, you can come in on 2, but then it still closes in as 1 and then splits off.
No, it comes in as 2 and it opens to 3, and
Okay.
the students peel off, and then it opens actually to a 3rd lane for parents on carpool.
Okay. I just wanted, because I know we see it, so I think you know what I'm talking about, how it starts that way and then it merges in because everybody has to come in. Right. Thank you for not making me feel
We're carpoolers too.
Because we're going to have a lot of communication about, students use this lane to come in, and a lot of signage out there.
Okay.
Because if a parent ends up in the blue lane, then they're in the parking deck.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes.
Right.
Any other, I just want to say, I think you've done such an excellent job given the complexity of the situation, the switching of the sites. I think it looks fantastic. Everyone will be apprehensive until they move in and you start to realize how great it's going to be. All the home side and the visitor side sitting on one, we're going to have to
Yes. We've talked about how they're going to divide them up. Yeah.
Thinking,
We can't just push them over the town.
funny. But yeah, I just think it looks great. And really, we're talking about the other side too, and the challenges there. I think you've just done an excellent job, and I'm excited to see the finished product and, how many more students we'll gain and the cost to the school system, all that stuff. So I'm excited about all that. So well done.
Thank you.
So far, knock on wood. It was smooth.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any WCPSS blankets? Right. Freezing.
I know, I'm holding my nose.
I thought I was doing,
I was not.
Because you don't want to jinx it, right?
Right, that's why I was like, no.
I thought I was doing good wearing
The other thing too.
this little bit of sleep today.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's what Harry goes care of folks about.
How you guys doing?
Doing well. Good. We figured we ran out of time and we postponed this.
We are running nicely.
Fantastic. Tony and I are here to present an HVAC update from the Maintenance and Operations Department and the Lifecycle Projects. This is a little less about actual machines and statuses and more about what we're doing as an operations department to try and curb some of these closures that we've done. So I'll go ahead and start. So to begin, it's important to contextualize the issue. HVAC failures, not only disrupt learning, but create significant operational stress. They impact instruction, safety, and erode community trust. We've made targeted operational, staffing, and process changes to directly address these closures and prevent them from recurring. In terms of school impacts, last school year we had 46 dismissals or cancellations due to HVAC failures. Since July 1st of this year, we've only had one. And while it's too soon to state that this is due to an improvement in process, we hope that our targeted responses and improved management are making a difference. So let's take a closer look at the current status of our critical equipment for this time of year, which is chillers and mobile HVAC units, mobile classrooms. For chillers, we have roughly 215 work orders of various severity affecting about 150 machines, chillers of our total 319 machines. Of those, 80 work orders are actively in progress right now, and we're working hard to address as many chiller issues as possible prior to the start of traditional calendar school year. On the mobile side, we have 155 open work orders across approximately 900 units, which is about 17% of our mobile fleet. Since July 1, we've already completed 40 repairs on these units, and we've focused our contracted services in this direction. Equipment age is still a big challenge. About 38% of our chiller units, about 120, are more than 15 years old. And of those units, 58 are over 20 years old. So the older the unit, the more likely it is to experience repeated failures, especially during high demand seasons. The takeaway here is that while the age of our equipment is an ongoing concern, our operational changes, especially faster emergency response and better work order assessment and assignment, should help make an impact on the start of school. Our first area of improvement is in how we prioritize and manage HVAC work orders. Significant staff time has been invested in data mining our existing work orders, and cleaning up and prioritizing problematic equipment and systems. This means more efficient assignment of the work to the right technicians and vendors, hopefully reducing downtime where we're at schools that have known issues. All schools are currently operating at occupied set points as we conduct our seasonal readiness inspections. These assessments enable us to identify and address potential failures before students return to campus. For unexpected breakdowns, we've revised part of our emergency HVAC failure response protocol. This includes strategic deployment of our own technicians with contractors staged daily at Rock Quarry Road so that they can be dispatched immediately as needed. This approach should significantly shorten the gap between failure discovery and repair. Finally, staff is utilizing technician assessments and work order data to prioritize where these resources are deployed, focusing specifically on machines with a history of repeated failures. By directing personnel and repair efforts to these high-risk units, we can proactively reduce the likelihood of future disruptions. As maintenance demands shift throughout the year, we adjust some of our technician assignments seasonally. This ensures we have the right expertise in the right place where it's needed most, allowing us to respond quickly during peak periods and reduce equipment downtime. Building on that flexibility, we're also investing in cross-training our technicians to handle a broader range of equipment and systems. Master craftsmen from our trade shops are being cross-trained on chiller and boiler equipment to provide additional service response and to perform intermediate level repairs on their own. We believe this enhanced capability will keep critical systems operable and ensure students can remain comfortably in the building. This approach not only reduces our reliance on external contractors, but also enhances our team's adaptability and problem-solving skills while supporting professional growth and actually boosts morale and retention with our staff. To further strengthen our operations, we're exploring reorganizing some of our maintenance shop to prioritize critical plant equipment. This realignment would streamline workflows and dedicate resources to essential systems, leading to fewer emergency repairs. Of course, these improvements rely on consistent support, so fully funding our preventive maintenance contracts is essential. Regular proactive servicing keeps equipment running smoothly, prevents costly emergencies, and maintains strong vendor partnerships, all of which protect our long-term investments. We've dedicated funds to fully fund these contracts this year for all of our PMs and about half of our boilers. Maintenance staff is planned to PM the remaining half of our boilers. In addition to these strategic efforts, we recognize the value of empowering our school-based maintenance staff. We've just received approval from Technology Services to proceed with our training software for regional maintenance and staff and trade shop staff. This initiative will ensure an enhanced and universal understanding of system repairs across our teams, while also providing opportunities for advanced training for interested or advanced level staff members. By equipping the staff with basic troubleshooting skills and expanding training resources, will enable quicker issue identification and resolution on site, reducing delays and easing the workload on our central maintenance team. So that should foster quicker repairs for all schools. Our customer service group is developing communications protocol to provide principals with ongoing status updates for emergency work orders. This is to ensure school leaders stay informed in real time, enabling them to make more timely decisions and effectively communicate with staff or families. I'm very happy to report that our vacancy rate in the maintenance shops, which is regional maintenance, environmental and grounds, and physical plant, is currently at a very low 11%. We're very appreciative of all the help that HR and every other support shop in this district has helped us with. Being nearly fully staffed has given the department management the opportunity to evaluate processes and work output thoroughly, allowing us to identify areas of greatest need for additional positions. We're actively working with the HR department to add the roles in a measured way, converting contract dollars into staff positions so that we can maintain necessary work while filling new vacancies. Building on this foundation, we'll continue to cross-train staff to maximize our in-house flexibility. This approach not only helps us address issues as they arise more efficiently, but prepares our team to step into position openings as they become available, supporting career growth and continuity. A critical part of our strategy involves close collaboration between maintenance and operations and the Lifecycle department. Our teams meet regularly and communicate constantly to ensure that equipment replacement priorities focus on the greatest needs, not just the oldest machines. Thanks to several plant upgrades and life cycle renovation projects, many schools with a history of equipment problems have seen restored and consistent operation. However, it's important to understand the challenges that we face. All of these staffing and processing improvements have been implemented without additional funding. Funding preventive maintenance contracts means reallocating resources from other departmental contracts, and shifting staff to address critical equipment reduces their capacity to perform their other duties. While maintenance and operations have received additional funds for new buildings, we've also had to contribute significantly this year to cover utilities budget shortfalls, reducing some of our growth funds for it by about 30%. Additionally, the rising cost of contracted services means that the same budget each year buys us less service. Given these realities, providing enhanced maintenance services and improving response times requires a careful balancing of staff, funding, and management. Supplementing in-house work with additional contracted services demands that we add additional oversight to maintain quality and cost effectiveness. While we remain committed to optimizing the current resources to meet evolving needs of the district, we're also advocating for additional resources to provide expanded support. Thank you.
From a life cycle standpoint, HVAC-related projects completed in fiscal year 25 consisted of several main project types. Chiller replacements topped the list with 18 replacement projects, with individual or pairs of chillers being replaced. During the chiller replacements, other issues were discovered and either corrected by maintenance and operations personnel or by life cycle contractors. The next type of projects were central energy plant replacements. These projects consisted not only of chiller replacements, but the rebuilding or replacement of boilers, building automation system components, and the hydronic pumping systems. The final type of projects undertaken in fiscal year 25 were replacing of aging or obsolete building automation systems. These ranged from main controllers or JACEs to full control replacements, where not only were controllers replaced, but also motorized damper and valve actuators that are the frequent causes of failure in building automation systems. This upcoming year, we are replacing even more chillers, as seen in this slide, some of which were planned and some of which are coming to us as immediate replacements or emergencies. We're also going to continue the central energy plant replacement projects, some of which also include chiller replacements as part of that scope of work. We will also continue building automation system replacements as standalone projects. In addition to those being formed as part of previously mentioned projects, we will be restarting our full HVAC replacement projects again with the projects listed here. I am also pleased to announce that the vacated position in Lifecycle for life safety systems has been filled, and we are resuming those projects to replace aging fire alarm systems. One of the two new positions that we created has also been filled. That person's responsibilities will be general construction and light HVAC, such as boiler replacements. With that, I think we're probably happy to receive any comments or questions.
Where do you get the funding from? Where do we get our funding from for these projects?
For projects or for the...
When you said you needed more funding, who does generally our funding come from?
So
I'll let anybody answer that in this room.
the maintenance department is out of local budget.
Okay, so from the county.
And the life cycle is a CIP, which
Okay.
is bond.
Okay, so I knew the answer to that. The reason I always bring it up is because our county has to pick up so much slack because we are, as a state, so low in per pupil funding, and then we get some of the lowest within the state, we're at 114th out of 115. And if the state did more, we would be able to then get more money, we would be able to shift money, because the county wouldn't have to lift up so much, and you would have more funding for some of this. So I always try to just make sure people understand the cause and effect and the impacts of not getting enough state funding and how much our county is lifting us up and how appreciative we are of the county commissioners and staff there to provide it. And we would love the state to do more so it could ease their burden and help us shift resources. Other questions? Ms. Edmonds and then Ms. Wood.
You mentioned that you've had like a 30% increase in utilities cost, which has dinged your budget. Did I hear that correctly?
No, so we had to contribute a certain amount to the utilities budget to meet kind of raising rates and additional usage. So the finance department worked with us and a couple of other groups to find money to contribute to the utilities budget. The amount that was transferred from maintenance was about 30% of what we got for growth. So we had a $3-ish million growth business case, and I shouldn't say that. It came out of the budget entirely. I transferred it from the growth money because it wasn't allocated out to shops yet.
Okay.
If I could provide some additional insight with trying to give context. The year before this past year, our utilities expenditures exceeded budget. We were able to cover that. We knew for this past year that just ended a few weeks ago, we would likely have a similar shortfall. Utilities is one of those expenditures, though. It does shift, and it can shift up and down, both based on rate changes. That's generally not down, that's up, but it can shift down based upon utilization. We knew we would likely have a shortfall, and thus we're not in a position to ask a funding source, oh, our light bill is going to be more, we have more funding beyond what's been approved, so it's a shift in what's going to benefit from. Nothing more. But when working within a confined budget, if a need here comes up and it's required to pay, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah, and I think just the only reason that I stated it that way in the presentation was, we've opened a significant amount of buildings this year. And we asked for our additional funding based on some historic rates, which includes utilities. So there's utilities in there, there's custodial, grounds, maintenance. The amount of money that we receive for those additional square footage is just, it's less. I mean, the whole budget is less, but that's why I kind of put it like that.
Thank you.
Ms. Gordon.
Thank you for this update. I can appreciate the very beginning where you made reference to you all recognizing what types of hardships this puts on everyone, specifically around community trust, including educator trust and families trust. I know this is a very large problem that we face, and I can appreciate the steps that are being taken. But I think I would be remiss if I also didn't recognize the just amount of feedback that we are receiving from educators. It was brought to my attention that there are educators in our district who are writing grants to get window units just to keep their classrooms cool. just to keep working conditions and learning conditions, operational. At my son's school alone, there were parents buying fans. So I guess, in saying all of that, I did want to ask, I know that we've received information around, like updates specifically like school by school for year-round schools. Is there a possibility for us to get a full detailed list of what's urgent, what's long-term, how schools, like the severity of the issues, like what issues are deemed severe so that schools are moved up? Is there any way that we can get that information?
Yeah, Dr. Taylor and I spoke about that a couple of weeks ago after sending out that initial report. We plan on compiling something similar for traditional schools. I don't know if I can make it I don't know if I can answer all of your questions with a simple report because it is 200 facilities. I can give the most critical needs, known issues, things like that. I don't have any problem reporting. It is a lot of data to mine to go through all the facilities, but we'll provide something, yes.
And then just one follow-up.
Of course.
The numbers that you mentioned in the beginning, can you say those again? Because those weren't on the slides. I did catch the mobile units. 17% of mobile units have been
have open work orders.
Yeah, have open work
Yes.
orders.
And have open HVAC work orders, so those aren't. And then for our chillers, we have about 215 open work orders of various severity. So I don't want you to equate an open work order with the machine doesn't work.
Gotcha.
It could need a replacement fan, it could need a switch, it could need a lot of things. But that affects about 150 of our 319 machines. And then we have about 80 of those work orders are currently in progress. So either contractors working on them, or we're waiting on parts, or staff is working on them.
Mrs. Gordon, I do want to go back to the first question that you asked about the list. And so we will provide that information, but also add that we may have a replacement schedule based on equipment age. But then if something unknown happens, meaning lightning strikes or blah, 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 then that may cause that to change in terms of the list. But we try to stay as true as possible, but you can never tell when something unexpected might happen. Yes, ma'am.
All of our lists are very flexible. It has to be.
We got last question from Ms. Caulfield.
Just a quick question. You said that, was it as of July 1st, you only had one this year versus 46 last year, or?
Yes.
So as of?
Yep.
So to date?
So we had one school dismiss early, one of the year-round schools. So obviously only the year-rounds are in, but yeah, we've only had one go home early so far.
So we're at the end. Thank you. I think this is the last meeting, the last facilities meeting for our facilities chief. He's looking down.
He hears you.
He's already making reservations for dinner.
I just, having been facilities vice chair when Chris was facilities chair, and then being facilities chair, I just want to thank Mr. Strickland. People know how many schools we have, which is, now over 200, but there's a bunch of other buildings, and facilities has an enormous amount of work. And we are underfunded on those fronts, and they are short-staffed. And first, we got to fill the position faster this time. I heard it was open a long time before. But I'm really grateful and appreciative of Mr. Strickland, the work he's done, leading this, his facilities team. Just the work that we presented today at the committee, having to switch sites and, make changes and accommodate and all the great things. And oftentimes we are overwhelmed, or all we hear is the bad. And so I think it's always good to really lift up the positive and the work that they do and the crosswork that they do with the county and it's a model for any other school district in the entire country. And I personally just, miss working with you. I appreciate you very much, and wish you all the best in whatever is next for you. I'll leave it at that and call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.